yo. Time for another guide, but before that I would like to thank you all who watched the video and liked it. It means a lot. Like I enjoy doing this, and if you guys find it helpful and useful, then it's so great. Just want to mention that like I started making a video, but it turned out very long. Like it was more than 20 minutes and I haven't even talked about maybe half of the stuff, so it would have turned out to be 30, maybe 40 minutes, if not more. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna do similar to the previous video about the TVP guide. So this is gonna be like a Mech, TvZ Mech guide with BC opening. What I wanted to cover in the previous video was all the different stuff, like all the different openings you can do, and then like the mid game, how it transitions, but it just so many variations and like so many things you have to account for from the zerg side. So it was just too long, man. So yeah, we're gonna talk specifically about a BC macro mech. If you guys want, we can have like a Banshee build like tutorial, and then like other things you can experiment, like maybe liberators like Viking medivacs, like even the old school double medivac Thor drop. Like that's basically, you can do all of that, like whatever you feel like comfortable and such. Like we're not playing against Zero, so it's all good. And yeah, let's get to the build. So I'm gonna like show you a variation that like actually I got the idea from your thermal. It's Viking into medevac into like BC. So the idea is, like he said it himself, who would expect like a BC after like that? And actually, yeah, it works until like they find out that you're doing that, so they can expect that. But like the first few times they did, it did work like quite alright, and it does work. The problem is that it dies to like roach ravager link, like roach ravager link floods, like something like that. Like if the zerg tries to all-in you, it's difficult to stop. You have to scout for it in time and like prepare accordingly, like build a bunkers, start a tank ASAP, like stuff like that. The other thing that it died to was like Nidases, so it can be bad to, it can be like it can, yeah, as I said, just die to Nidases if you're not careful, and it's like it surprises you. But apart from that, if you just play a macro game, it can gain you like map control, like harassment, like all this stuff. So here I open like gas first into like Reaper, expand, like the normal stuff, and I'm gonna start a factory here. I think this is, yeah, this is gas first. So the difference here is that I'm getting slightly more gas because we're gonna go DCs, and we know that beforehand. You can still, I think you can still do this build with normal gas.
Not enough minerals.
And get a marine. Like it should be maybe just preference, but like getting more gas is just better for the build overall, because DCs require a lot of gas. So since this is against an easy AI, like again, we just do scouting here. Don't do any fancy stuff. Like, if you can, do them, but focus on the macro side. So,
Add-on complete.
we're getting Hellions constantly. Now, with the Hellion, just see if there's some buildings, like anything only, and prepare for that. Like, if you see a roach worm like this, you can switch off, make a tank a bunker. You can even make one Banshee before the BC. Just to, like, Banshees are very good against roach, ravager. Yeah, they just easily defend those stuff. Now, from here, you can make a medevac and then a Viking, or a Viking and then a medevac. So I think I'm gonna go for a Viking first, just to deny like a scouting of this building here. I didn't mention that, but different maps, like on some maps BCs are better than the others. Like normally you wanna see if there's some dead space here, like some escaping potential, how the bases look like. So let's say the zerg takes this, so the BC can fly from here to here, then from here. But if they take like this base, and this base, then it's not that good for BC harassment. But overall, if the map is big enough, then BCs are good. So here I'm gonna make a medevac. I made the tech up a bit too early, but it's okay. Now we have the fusion core. Start your third. Like this all seems normal, by the way. Like if a zerg scouts, this all seems like normal if they don't see the fusion core. You can even proxy the fusion core somewhere else, so the zerg will just not know that you're gonna go BCs after that. Now the Viking just clear some overlords from here. Start your BC. Don't get supply block, it's very important to have like, supplies. And start the upgrade, because we're gonna actually mass BCs. Like we're not gonna go only one or two BCs. Like even if you go to BCs actually get the upgrade, get the Yamato. It's very good. Now from here, wanna take the fourth gas as well, and think we can start like the factories. Needed the gas a bit sooner. Now with the medevac, try to harass. You're gonna have more Hellions here. Basically, again, like try to save those units. Like don't take too risky. Like here he has nothing, so of course we can do this, but then escape. Like we want to have multiple attack location. Like we want to attack from multiple locations. So the moment the BC is done, we know, okay, so he has probably units here to defend this. Probably the queens are here to defend this drop. If that's the case, then the BC teleports here and attacks there, or attacks the third. Like those Hellions can attack the third, the BC can attack the second and third while you take your base here, and this can harass. Like this will take some practice, like it's not that easy to execute, but if you properly execute it, like you can basically even kill zergs with this. Also take your third, and I want my armories, so let's get them. And now is the moment to either start cyclones or like tanks. So if he is going for a tank attack, sorry, not tank attack. If he is going for roach attack, you wanna get tanks. But if he's passive and just defense, cyclones are great. And if you do get a couple of cyclones, then get this upgrade. Cyclones become very strong against like buildings, so they can snipe off like hatcheries and like overlords. They're just very good. Now, if
Base is under attack.
he goes for a lot of corruptors actually, then you stop making BCs basically. Like if you're not confident, especially if you're not confident in your like BC micro, and you're gonna lose some BCs to the corruptors, just stop making BCs. A lot of the times, a lot of the time, the zergs will just lose, just overmake corruptors and lose like in the ground fight. So if you see a lot of corruptors and roach style, like a roach base play, make some tanks and attack. Use the BCs for harassment. So what you can do is have your ground stuff here, attack maybe like this base, and with the BCs attack here. I'll just macro up.
Research complete.
Let's say, okay, we're done with the BCs. Now we start like a ground transition. You can add more factories at this point also.
Complete.
And also, don't forget engineering bay. We want that to be ready to get some turrets against Mutas, or to start like a planetary when we take our fort. And this is like the most standard, I would say, like mech style. Just a couple of BCs for harassment with 8 factories. And depending on
Upgrade
what
complete.
his units are, let's say he goes for high-tech units,
Upgrade
a lot of warlords, that's when we want our thors. If he sticks to like ground-based composition, then we want more
mineral
tanks.
field depleted.
So just keep an eye on what the zerg composition is and make the appropriate units. Also, like a
Add-on complete.
good overall army should be like 10 to 12 thors, like the super late game, 10 to 12 thors,
Insufficient Vespene gas.
8-ish liberators, a couple of hellbats, a couple of tanks, like, or Vikings, and that can deal with a lot of what the zerg can throw at you. What Mech is weak against is like spellcasters from the zerg, like Vipers, Fungo not that much, but Neural Parasite, like especially thors, they're kind of weak against that. That's why you want Liberators with range to deal with the Infestors. Tanks can deal with Infestors as well. The problem is the friendly fire. So if you choose to counter Infestors with your tanks instead of like Libs, hotkey your tanks. It's easier this way, and just target, let's say those are Infestors. Just target Infestors. After you kill the Infestors with your tanks, retarget with roaches, like Hydras, or unsiege. Because if you let the tanks attack, like let's say broodlings or zerglings, like anything that's close to your thors, the tanks will actually kill the thors, not the zerg army. So you have to be careful in those scenarios. And yeah, another thing also is, since I have a barracks here, see, like what you can do is, in this case, maybe even add 2 more, and like even 1 more. Just get 2 to 4 ghosts and try to EMP. Like EMPing the Infestors and the Vipers actually pays off. It will actually, like, you just EMP and then your army is like twice as strong. Okay guys, I think that's most of what I wanted to say. Thanks for tuning in and watching the video. If you enjoy it, I will make another video with Banshee, speed Banshee style opening. That's what I personally prefer and do in most of my games recently. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.